Okay, and we are live. We'll give it a minute or two for people to join us. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started, and then if anyone joins us late, they can always rewatch the first half of this. So, welcome to anyone who is watching. My name is Brian Palmer. I'm Executive Director of Ethereal Just Arts Council. And today we're here to once again talk with Jason Speicher, who is directing The Tempest for us this summer. So, at this point, I feel like a lot of people probably already know you since this will be the third show that you've directed with us. So we can skip some of the questions that we normally go over. So you're currently directing Macbeth, which opens in 2 weeks from today. What is it that made you want to do another Shakespeare show back to back?
Well, besides the fact that I love Shakespeare, it was a show that really intrigued me in your season, and I had not originally thought about directing The Tempest previously, the more I thought about it after I saw the announcement, the more I became interested in how I could put my spin on the story. And even though it's back to back, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm used to doing shows back to back, so it was just an opportunity arose itself, so I decided to take it.
Cool. So, for those who don't know, in your own words, can you tell us briefly what The Tempest is about? Like, what is the story?
The story. First thing, I feel that this is one of Shakespeare's better written plays. It's a very well crafted story. It's essentially a story about someone coming to terms with the changing of life as it progresses ever forward. The main character, Prospero, who he feels he has been unrightly ousted as the Duke of Milan by his brother, lives on an island with his daughter Miranda, and he tries to keep the world static as as she grows older, and lives in his bitterness. So when his brother sets forth from Milan on a ship, he causes a tempest to have them shipwrecked on the island, where he can exact his revenge upon his brother. Through the process of the play, he learns that he realizes that Miranda has grown into a young woman, and though naive in many ways the role, she does fall in love with one of the characters, and so he has to Prospero has to come to terms with, like, not only is he somewhat incorrect in his belief about what happened to him and losing his dukedom, but also that his daughter is growing up and is changing, and the world can no longer be this static bubble where he has wanted to be for all her life. So that's essentially where the crux of the plot and action drives towards him coming to realize that who he is as a person is not what he thought he was, and coming to terms with that.
Cool. So, as most people know, when it comes to Shakespeare, there's 1,000 different ways that you can interpret the material. For instance, with the current production of Macbeth, you're having it being set slightly in the future and with more of a cyberpunk feel to it. What is your concept for The Tempest? How will you be approaching the production?
For this version of The Tempest, for my version of The Tempest, going back to the idea that Prospero has kind of frozen this island in a moment of time and place. So I'm like, the island is in Anywhere Island. It's not going to be, we're never going to know the name of the island. I'm going to have some like Caribbean style, like in the clothing, because also the time period is going to be somewhat a Victorian style, but it's not going to be everybody's in Victorian clothes. It's going to be accents of like linen pants that have been torn up because they've been shipwrecked, and things like that. So very that type of idea, and then in kind of not a heavy tech show, simple lighting, a painted set. Not even lots of set pieces, not as many props. As a costume is going to be have accents of Victorian, but not be fully Victorian, and really allow the acting that occur and the text kind of shine as the way to build the world that the play is set in. And the other aspect of this play is my vision and concept for the show is I had taken the class at OSU called Shakespeare and Autism, where we use The Tempest as a lot of our games to help children on the spectrum learn socialization techniques. And my plan is to implement some of the games in rehearsal, and then therefore taking what we discover in those games and transferring it into the performance that we will be seeing on stage, from the moment we have the curtain speech all the way to the end. I plan on incorporating that to into the performances that occur in the show itself. So
that sounds really interesting and exciting. I always love your concepts and takes on shows. They're always a little different than I think most other people would do, but they're always really fun and interesting and really entertaining to experience the final product.
And that's one of the things is the fun's a good way to put it, especially for this performance, because I want to lean into the fact that though there are some heavy moments in The Tempest, I want to kind of lean into some of the moments that are much more light and airy and enjoyable, because there is a nice romance in it. Prospero, realizes what he's done is wrong, and he redeems himself, and so it's definitely it's a much lighter play than Macbeth is. I
would have to say I think most plays would be lighter than Macbeth is.
So yeah, I wanted to kind of like lean into some of that aspects, and with the Tempest is a good place to go with some of that, because it is a very like light, enjoyable. Not like it's one of Shakespeare's comedies, which means it doesn't mean that it's a rolling, laughing thing all throughout. but there are definitely some nice comic moments, and it is lighter, and it has a romance. Everyone, as we who study Shakespeare, is everyone who in tragedies, everyone, most people in the end of the play are dead, and in the Tempest, and like the comedies, at least there's at least one marriage at the end of the play. So that's kind of where we're going with this. Is leaning into the fact that this is one of Shakespeare's comedies, which are meant to be light and enjoyable to watch and not feel like you're there's a lot of um, weight in the material. There's a lot of like serious things that are going on. The serious things are easily in the comedies are masked by the lightheartedness, and kind of like letting the lightheartedness help see that where someone goes from where they start can be changed at the beginning at the end of the play.
Yeah. So you mentioned before about integrating some of the games from the Shakespeare and Autism project into rehearsals. With that, what will the rehearsal process be like for this show?
So for this show, we'll do the traditional. It'll be Monday through Thursday, 7 to 10 probably. This is with the way with Macbeth and the way everything's timing out. I'm gonna definitely have like a 7 to 10 rehearsal process when we're rehearsing, just because we don't have the normal amount of rehearsal time, so we really do have to kind of like work really hard to make sure that everyone feels comfortable putting what's going to go up on stage is going to go up on stage. And but what I intend to do is at least once a week. If I'm lucky enough, I can do once a rehearsal. But if I do that, I will run out of games. But at least once a week, play a game, or like pick a game for that week and play it a couple times during the week, during rehearsals, to kind of like the games are designed to be fun and playful, which will help lend itself to performances and rehearsal, keeping it light and playful, but also letting the actors discover things about their characters that they can like a physicality or a vocality that they might be able to put on stage with that. And then what I tend to do is I like the way I've done Macbeth is I did some scenes, and then I did rehearsals where one of the acts of the play that are like Shakespeare's acts in the play, and usually every play has 5 acts or maybe 4 acts, and then we, after doing those a couple times through, I go rehearsing like what would be the first act of the play that they're going to present on stage in Columbus. As for Macbeth, it is our first act is Act 1, Scene 1, to Act 3, Scene 3, to the end of Act Scene 3, and then our Act 2 is Act 3, Scene 4, all the way to the end of the play, which is Act 5, Scene 9 or 8, depending on what version of the script you have. And and I rehearse those each a couple times through, or at least once through, and then I do a couple full runs before tech week. So mostly so the actors get the flow of the play, and we can get the tempo of the play the way we want it to be going into tech week. So yeah, I that's kind of the way rehearsal is going to work. And hopefully, like with the games being done in rehearsals, we'll be able to add stuff like that into performance. So you'll see a little bit of the characterization that we find in the games on stage. And then to emphasize that aspect of the Shakespeare and autism aspect of it, where if for those of you who are unfamiliar with the philosophy and the system of what they're using, the meter of Shakespeare's words are based on the human heart beat. It is da 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 da. So to have in some of the scenes have be underscored softly by a human heartbeat to kind of pull that back in to the world, the world of the play, uh, and also what I would like to do, and also to once again, so the audience feels that they're, because I'm a firm believer of the audience being feeling like that they're part of the show, not just um, voyeurs watching something.
Yeah.
To come out during when every time in classes for Shakespeare and Artism, you start out by let me move my camera down so you can see it. You put your hand over your heart and you go hello, 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 and you encourage the group to do it too. And when you get as many people as you can doing that, you stop, but that also connects the group together in the idea of what we're going to be doing. And for the curtain speech, I would explain after it would be done, we'd have someone explain why they did that and what made it important to the themes that are going on in the play. So that's kind of where that aspect gets incorporated not only into rehearsal but into performance.
So what will the audition process be like?
So what we'll do for auditions is I would like to have everyone have a prepared monologue. If you can't have it memorized, that's fine. I prefer it memorized, but once again, don't make that a thing that you can't do, because I understand some people don't feel they have trouble memorizing monologues. So by all means, if you have to come in with it on paper, that's fine. I do ask that if you feel comfortable enough with whatever you've chosen, that you don't feel you're buried in the thing you brought with me. So all I get is you looking down at a piece of paper, and I get to see your face because I want you to be able to show me what you're thinking as a character in the monologue. And then I would like to, after monologues are done, I will probably run a quick, one of the easier, quicker games from Shakespeare and Autism to kind of get the actors who are auditioning a feel of what that's supposed to be. And or I might open with that, so we have something lighthearted, because also I understand auditioning for actors because I was an actor. I understand auditioning is extremely stressful, and they get very much in their own heads. And perhaps if we have a moment to have a quick game to let them relax and just give me the performance that they want to give me, not that they feel they should expect from me, or I'm expecting something from them. I just want them to do their best and have fun and make nice choices. And I also think, like, if we do the game before we do monologues, that will help them make choices within the monologue. And then,
Yeah.
possibly if I have time, I might give a few people some scenes to read, some short scenes to read, just to see how they interpret the actual text from The Tempest. But that's all that is a timing thing. Once again, I don't want things to run too long. But yeah.
Now, I know, depending on the show, the company, and the director, what are your feelings about people using selections from The Tempest for their audition?
I mean, I am, I understand that if that's what you want to do, I'm not going to be like, don't. I always like to hear people pick something that's not from The Tempest, or something that, like, but also something that's like a comedy. So, like, if you're auditioning for The Tempest, don't give me a monologue from Macbeth. If you want to do a monologue from Hamlet, find a really good cutting of, like, The Gravedigger, or one of Hamlet's more lighthearted moments. Don't pick, like, a really heavy, like, don't give me To Be or Not to Be, because it's very far away from the material you're actually going to be performing. Obviously, don't do to be or not to be. Regardless, it's it's a heavy monologue. It's a lot to think about. There are some really great other monologues that you could easily find. I highly recommend if you're having trouble thinking of one, come to the audition seminar, because that's part of the reasons. If you're having trouble picking a monologue, I will be there to help you figure out one that would be suitable for you. I will have some selections ready, and I will bring a couple texts that you can look through. And also, if you don't have to pick Shakespeare, you can pick another classical monologue. I prefer classical monologues over contemporary, but if you only have a contemporary monologue you feel comfortable using, use a contemporary monologue. It's fine. Just once again, understand part of the reason, if you only come with a contemporary monologue, I will definitely give you a scene to read or a monologue to read, because part of the audition process with a monologue is being able to understand and interpret the language. And even though Shakespeare is technically modern English, it's presented in a way that most American actors are not familiar with instinctively. So it is somewhat harder for them to grasp, to make sure that you feel comfortable delivering Shakespearean English over contemporary American English.
So with The Tempest, what size cast are you looking for, and like how many roles are there available for this production?
The very interesting about The Tempest, which is an extreme departure from a lot of Shakespearean productions, this is a relatively small cast. There are like 8 characters, so probably 8 actors is where I'm 8 to 9 actors. I'll have to check to make sure the exact number of characters. I don't plan on doing doubling. If I decide to double, it's going to be a character, and ultimately I have to check to make sure the 2 characters I want to double with 1 actor don't appear on stage together at all, which is hard because I think the last scene of the play, or the last few scenes of the play, everybody's on stage together, which is great because that's what Shakespeare does. A lot of his comedies, but it makes doubling really hard because you can't have an actor be 2 characters on the stage at the same time. So really, yeah, I went and checked to make sure I was right while I was looking through The Tempest again, and I think it's 8 to 9 characters in the play, so I would only need 8 to 9 actors.
What ages are you looking at going into auditions for the characters?
I am not someone who really limits the aging of characters. Be aware that even though it is a comedy, there are some mature themes in The Tempest. So if you are an actor who is young and make sure that not only you but your parents do at least a Google search of the play to understand what's the play's about and what is in the play, because I don't shy away from the things that are somewhat unpleasant in plays. So the Taliban, who is a character in the play, is mistreated by Prospero pretty heavily and pretty roughly, and I will not shy away from that interaction. I'm not going to tone it down. So if you are a parent who feels that's too strong for their child to be a part of, then I suggest not auditioning for it. But I don't really have an upper age limit. I would prefer, if you're going to be young, keep yourself 12 and up. You usually that's just a matter of for me as a director with the level of maturity in rehearsal space.
And I think it isn't a bad thing to point out that this is not a children's show.
No.
So it's not intended for young audiences. For us, we put it at about like a PG-13
Yes, I would say that's a
level.
correct level.
So it's not intended for young kids, either on stage or in the audience. It's not necessarily the most adult themes or material, but it's definitely more mature than a children's show.
Yes.
And to echo back to what you said before, and not just for this audition, but for any audition, it is assumed that the actor will be somewhat familiar with the material they're auditioning for, and especially with a show like Shakespeare, you can go online and find the script for free at a million different places. So it is in your best benefit to at least read the show or find a film version of it to be familiar with the story. I mean, for those 90s kids in the audience, Wishbone had an episode about the Tempest that you might be able to find on YouTube to at least have a synopsis of what it is.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of the reasons I say this is because I had an actor who got cast in Macbeth and it was a 12-year-old, and then they realized that mom realized that there were two murderers in the play, and even though she was listed as cast as a murderer, did not understand what that one meant and didn't realize what Macbeth was because neither one of them looked at the play. They were only familiar with Arthur Jest's children's productions, which definitely Macbeth is not at all. So it is a matter of like, please do your due diligence. Like, read a synopsis. You don't have to. I'm not asking you to read the entire play, but if you're really interested in being in the play, I suggest you read the entire play before you audition. Find yourself a film version. There are some great film versions out there. There's some great, like the Wishbone episode of For the Tempest is actually not a bad episode, and though it severely cuts down the script, obviously because it's a half-hour show,
right?
It sticks very much to the plot of the show as well, so it's not hard for it's easy to get an idea of what the play's like. But I welcome kids who want to do, young adult actors who want to take a shot. Want to take a shot at Shakespeare. It's for them an extremely daunting task because it is something they have to work on. But also, I don't want I want you to understand that like it is Shakespeare. It is an adult play. It is. I think PG-13 is a good rating for this play. There are some adult themes, but there's no murder, there's no blood, there's no death but there are some violent parts. There's some very romantic parts and stuff. So that like whatever, you have to understand that that's all part of the play. So yeah. But upper age limit, I am not. You go right ahead and audition is. I don't really have an age limit at all that way because I see.
Now, talking about film versions, there's the Julie Taymor version that starred Helen Mirren as Prospero, but they changed it to Prospera. And I know that in Macbeth is being played by a woman as well. Is that a potential possibility based on who auditions, or are you leaning more toward the traditional casting?
I always leave myself open to whoever audition gives me the best audition. I don't ever like say that I am looking for a certain gender for a certain role. I let whoever auditions best audition, gives me the best audition, leads me where their casting is. So I don't intend to cast. I don't have any preconceived notions of what the characters look like yet. It's like the, you know, I love with the, I'm not tied to any of the characters being a certain gender.
Mhm.
I find it refreshing when I get that. And also, it lets my actors who audition really step up and give me their best auditions,
Yeah.
because if they really want the role, they've got to show me they really want it and give me the audition that's going to get them that.
Yeah.
So
And if we look at your cast from Somewhat True Tale of Robin Hood and the cast for Macbeth, it's very clear that um, you are very open to non-traditional casting and choosing people who give impressive, stellar performances, um, and how that is demonstrated is more important to you than matching the gender on paper.
no, and I feel that, like, especially with Shakespeare, by far, especially with Shakespeare, that those roles have historically those roles have gone to male actors, and uh and not to say that I lean towards breaking that trend, but I definitely don't let it sway me one way or the other. I
Mhm.
think that, like Macbeth has been performed by men for as long as I can remember. I feel that there is no reason that if a female presenting actor comes to me and gives me one hell of an audition, that they should not get that role just because they are female presenting. That is, I think that is counterintuitive to theater in general, let
Mhm.
alone and the material. Like, if I want an actor who's going to deliver me the best Macbeth or the best Prospero or the best Hamlet that I want, I have to go with the actor who's going to do that, whether they are
Mhm.
female or male presenting. And I will happily defend that point. I will die on that hill defending it, because I think that's important. That we need to release ourselves from this idea that these roles belong to men or women
Mhm.
in general.
Yeah. And I will say, from my perspective, I am a big fan of um, doing new things, trying new things. That if we're just going to do like the Tempest, for example, if we're just going to do it the same way everyone else has ever always done it, what is the point in doing it again?
Mm.
And especially with a director like you have so many ideas and so many interesting takes on things that to not allow you to be yourself and to be creative and to bring us something new to this show would just be a disservice to both us as well as the audience.
Yeah.
Um, so at this point, is there anything else that we haven't touched on yet that you want to communicate to people about this production?
Uh, this, as I mentioned, this is a little shorter of a rehearsal process. I believe we would give. I've given myself 5 weeks, which, as I say that now, I am like, I've only given myself 5 weeks. I have to breathe to get through that. But that means we're really gonna hit hard on this and really go. So I'm definitely looking for actors who want the challenge and to really, like, delve in and have a lot of fun in the space and have fun on stage and really um like respond to the pressure of realizing that we've got like 5 weeks before our show is going to go up. And but yeah, I think we've covered a lot of what I wanted everyone to know about. I hope once again people take advantage of the audition seminar, because if you have a monologue and you just want to run it, do it a couple times, you're going to get free feedback from the director that you have a week to incorporate into your monologue for just to give you a better audition of what or better choices or different choices that you hadn't thought of as you're rehearsing your monologue by yourself.
And that seminar is Saturday, May 10th at 2:00. There is a Facebook event with details. There's also, if you go to our website on the Macbeth page, there's a section about the audition seminar as well.
Yeah. And I look forward to seeing everybody out there at auditions. I'm really excited to. I'm though I am knee deep in Macbeth right now. I'm very excited to start work on The Tempest. I've even started like doing some preliminary work while I can between the stuff I'm doing for Macbeth.
And just to make sure everyone is aware, auditions are May 17th from 10 to 2, May 18th from 4 to 8. There is also a Facebook event for those, as well as that information is available on etherealjust.com. Between now and the audition seminar, or now and the auditions, if anyone has any questions, feel free to email info@etherealjust.com, or you can message us on losing my train of thought, or you can message us on Facebook, and I can get that information to Jason and get any responses back to you as quickly as possible.
Yep.
And with that, thank you so much, Jason, for joining us today. As always, it's super fun to chat with you. Looking forward to Macbeth in a couple weeks, and also very excited to get into The Tempest and see what you guys can do with this show.
I'm happy to be here, and thanks for doing this and putting this together, because it's important to get the word out. And I'm looking forward to getting Macbeth in the space and running it a few times and getting in front of an audience. We're almost at that point where they need other people than myself and my stage manager watching the action on this that they're doing. And I'm really excited to jump into The Tempest. I'm thinking this is going to be a very fun play for me to direct, and I'm excited. A fun in a different way than Macbeth's fun, and I'm looking forward to that. So I look forward to everyone coming out to auditions. If you have any questions directly for me, please go ahead and reach out to Arthur or Jest, and they will get it to me, and I will get answers as quickly as I possibly can. And no question is out there for me. It's not a bad question to ask anything from the director about what you're trying to get yourself into. So
agreed. Fantastic. Well, again, thank you. You have a great rest of your day, and happy Saturday to everybody else.
All right. Yep. You have a good day, man. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.